We're going to study the aquatic invertebrates that live in the creek. And this creek right here. So, you guys know what aquatic means? Water. Do you know what an invertebrate is?
Bug.
Oh, there's something special about that bug.
Without
It has an exoskeleton.
Oh.
It doesn't have any vertebrae, so it has no spine. Invertebrate means no spine. Okay, and these are pictures of the ones that you will find. You won't find all of these, but you won't find anything that's not on here. So you could find any of these. And some of these are insects, and some of them aren't. Now, which ones might be an insect? What do you know about insects? Do you know?
They're gross.
They're gross.
They're gross. So what else do you know about an insect?
They're
Nasty.
You get some mushroom.
Do you think a clam is an insect?
No, clams
No.
are awesome.
No. How about maybe a mayfly?
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the difference between a clam and a mayfly?
They have legs.
They have legs. That's it. How many legs does an insect have?
8.
Six.
Oh.
All right. So some of these are insects and some aren't, but they are all invertebrates. None of them have a backbone. So insects, many of these insects go through metamorphosis. And what's the common one that everybody knows about that goes through? A butterfly, exactly. Now, these are a little different than the butterfly, because the butterfly lays its eggs and they hatch into a caterpillar, right? And he makes a cocoon. Well, these insects lay their eggs in the water. So a dragonfly, how many have seen a dragonfly? Yeah? Most of you have seen a dragonfly, right? Okay, well, a dragonfly lays its eggs in the water. So if you ever watch over a pond and you see the dragonflies, they'll dip their tail in the water, they're laying their eggs, or she's laying her eggs in the pond. So the dragonfly lays its eggs in the pond and it hatches into an aquatic invertebrate called a nymph. And this is what the dragonfly one looks like. And it starts out pretty tiny, but it'll grow till it's about this big.
Big.
About that big, and then it'll crawl up on the bank, up on a branch or a twig, and it'll go through metamorphosis and it will get its wings. And then it will fly away until it's for probably 3 or 4 days, less than a week, and then it'll start laying eggs, and then it'll die. And then they'll hatch, and they spend about a year or two underwater before they come up on the land for that week where they lay their eggs.
So they die in 4 weeks? Like they just...
Yeah, sometimes a day or two, sometimes a week. They don't live very long on the land. They spend most of their life under the water. And that's the same with a lot of these. They spend a lot of their life under the water, and they go through their metamorphosis, and they have a flying adult that then lays the eggs, and that way they can spread around, right? Because once they're flying, they can get places they can't when they're in the water. So that's what we're going to be looking for, is the stage of these insects that are in the water. Okay, then we have, you can do the mud snails. Roberta's going to tell you about mud snails.
So, when we look for all these invertebrates, we're hoping that we don't find something called a New Zealand mud snail. And this is what they look like in large. This is what they look like under a microscope. Can anybody tell me where you think the New Zealand mud snail came from?
New Zealand?
New Zealand. And very good, yeah, sort of easy. And how do you think it got here?
The river floated over here.
What?
River floated over here.
The river? But how did it get into our rivers here?
People
Might
brought
have been
it.
on the boat.
He got
People,
stuck.
right. What we think happened is people were fishing in New Zealand because they have wonderful trout in New Zealand like we do here, and someone came back and they didn't know they had it, and it released itself into the water. So these New Zealand mud snails are very small, and they're considered to be an invasive species. And what does that tell you about them? What? They multiply really fast and they don't belong here. So what they're doing is they are displacing a lot of our native invertebrates. And the reason why it's particularly bad is when the trout eat the New Zealand mud snail, it closes up its body and it just passes through the trout and the trout doesn't get any nutrition. So we have New Zealand mud snails on the Owens River, and what it does is it causes the trout to get thin, because it's as if you were really hungry and you drank a bunch of water and then you didn't feel hungry as much because your stomach was full, but you didn't get any nutrition from that water. So we have a way to stop the spread of the New Zealand mud snail. And does anybody know what that is? Kill it, right. They are so small, they get caught in the bottoms of your shoes, and you can't see them. And so washing your shoes off or just letting them sit around will not kill them. These are hardy little creatures. So the way that you kill them is you freeze them in your freezer for 24 hours. And the reason why the freezing kills them is they're made of cells. Cells have water in them. And what happens to your water bottle when you freeze it? It expands, right. So these cells filled with water in the snail expand, and that's what kills them. So anytime you go in any of the rivers here, like if you're tubing or if you're fishing, I have to do it because I fish, when you come home, you need to take your shoes and socks and put them in a plastic bag and put them in your freezer overnight. So how many people are going to do that tonight with their wet shoes when they get home?
Josie, come on.
They're not mine, they're hers.
Oh.
I'll do it for you.
Yeah, if you get your shoes wet, we want you to put them in a plastic bag and freeze them
What
so
about
that
pants?
a month from now, and your pants, yeah. Look at that. Could you see a mud snail if they were on there? No, you wouldn't know.
Oh, they're as small as those little white dots on his dark pants.
So you can freeze
Smaller
them
than that.
and then throw them in the laundry. Your pants, not your shoes. Usually you don't wash your shoes.
But it's really important to do that because it will ruin our trout fishery and our trouts. And we like that, right? Because we like to fish, we like the tourists that come fish. But they do not help us. So if you go tubing or fishing or anything like that, you need to freeze your stuff. So we're going to now take invertebrate samples, and we're going to get a little wet. And some of you already look wet, so that's not going to be a problem.
Okay, but what we need first is 2 volunteers who want to get wet and stay in the whole time. You're not gonna wimp out halfway through. I got the 2 girls.
Yes, the 2 girls.
Wow, baby.
Okay, come on. You guys, one on each side. The water's coming this way, and I'll stand on the edges to hold it down, right inside there, because otherwise the invertebrates just go underneath the net.
Have you ever caught a fish?
Not in here. We haven't caught a fish.
We have in the Owens River.
We've caught, yeah, and sometimes when we use nets, little nets,
Yeah.
we catch them.
Yeah.
But with this, no, I think they swim away. So, but we do catch lots of invertebrates, many, many of them.
We've had a wonderful catch
Right.
today.
So, the rest of you will either choose to be a scooper or a scrubber. And there's rocks on the bottom, and the invertebrates are on the rocks. So you need to disturb the rocks. You can pick them up and scrub them off, but hold them under the water. You can just scrub with your hand in. Your hand will get cold, you switch hands. That way, and you switch hands, and you switch hands because they get cold. Use these to move the rocks around. The other thing you can do is you're going to be standing, and we'll have to take turns because obviously you can't all fit around this. We only want to sample in here. So you stand on the edge, because otherwise this thing floats away. But you can also stick your foot in and move the rocks around, because that loosens the invertebrates. So if your hand's cold, take a turn with your foot and move some rocks around. So, who wants a scooper?
Brush or a scooper? Come grab one.
Yeah, come grab what you want to work with.
Well, I'm kind of getting used to it now.
You are you? Good.
You have to get in the water twice.
Really?
You guys are
You guys don't want to come in. I see how it is.
Throw me one of those. You want to come in?
It's nice and warm. No,
I know we're not gonna have any.
every time I take my foot out of the water,
Just scoop, turn those rocks over with these things, like this. Hold this up tight, like that, so we don't lose anything over the top.
You're done now. I can't do anything.
Not even cold, see?
James is just showing off like he is.
Yeah, but it's freezing.
Try not to.
Good job.
Okay. Bang it up.
Yeah,
don't want to
the towels. Yeah, I did. I should go for that too.
Tray over here to get some water in
Stay
it.
still in there. It's be cold.
And then the other partner can come over here. I'll just grab a little more. Oh, sorry. We've got 6 trays to fill.
I still have water in my shoes.
I have water shoes. You have water shoes, but you barely even got into the water. Yeah, Bruce didn't go in.
This is the only one. So, I don't know. She was the only one.
Oh, take one of those back to each of your spots and try and set them really flat so you don't spill them, because then you'll get yourself wet.
This one.
Settle and you'll start to see things move. And
This one right here.
once it stops moving, then you start to see things crawling around.
That's a water
There. You see that guy?
Look at
There's
that.
one there.
Look at that.
So you can use the droppers or the spoons, whatever works best for you, or your
I like those.
fingers. Oh, those are called net spoons. Oh, look at my paper.
These ones?
Okay,
These
riffle
ones
beetles.
are common.
You guys had some. We found some down there. They put them this way.
Okay, they have 8.
8.
Look what they're doing.
Anyone else?
They have like a nine.
Look, everyone, put your tools down and look up here. We got to finish up and get you moving. What group did we have the most of?
The beetles.
Which group? The sensitive, tolerant, or intermediate?
Intermediate.
Intermediate. Oh yeah, we're still adding, huh? my math person.
Sorry.
So, does that sound about right? It's not the coldest, cleanest water, but it's not, warm and dirty like a pond. So, it does kind of make sense what we found. All right, so now it's cleanup. What we need you to do,
We are getting back in the water, right?
no, let's you know what we're gonna do? We'll have you rinse your trays in the tub, and then we'll just dump the whole tub and get clean water.
What do we do?